Okay, so our last video left us here with the console write line, please enter your height, and then we've got this double height being converted from whatever value we read in from the console. Now the problem with that is that someone might enter a string in there, so they might enter their name in there, and so when we go to convert that to a double, that will cause our program to crash. And so what we actually need to do is get the string from the console read line, so that's still correct, but before we try to convert it to a double, we have to check that it is actually able to be converted to a double. So the way that we're going to change our program here is we're going to start off by just creating a string, and that's going to be a string, and we can call it whatever we want, but we're just going to call it get input, and that's going to be the string that we put our input from the console into. And so here, rather than just going straight into this process of doing the conversion, what we're actually going to do is copy that line. Let's just copy and paste it, and instead of converting the value that is our read line, we're going to convert our string. So at the moment we don't have anything to convert. Okay, so we're going to get your height, and then instead of getting the double height here and doing the conversion, we're just going to delete all of that, and we're going to say get input is going to become equal to the value that's read from our line, and we'd obviously need it to look the same as our other variable. So now we've got our string input, we're asking them to enter a height, and we're doing this little get input variable that's going to be where we store the value we read from the console. And what we want to now do is repeat these two lines over and over and over again until a valid value is entered by the user. So we're going to have to set up a repetition structure. So what we want to do this time, you'll remember from your algorithms, you've either got pre-test repetition or you've got post-test repetition. So from our work on algorithms, we can see here that we want to do a post-test repetition because we want this to happen once and then test whether or not we're going to have to repeat it. So in C, the structure for a post-test repetition is set up using a do command, and the structure of it, I'm just going to write the whole thing on one line there, is like that. So what we do is we say do, and then we've got our curly parentheses, and then you can see there's this second part of it which is called while, and then we've got a condition. And so what we do is we put the things we want to repeat inside these curly parentheses, and we put our condition for while we want that to happen inside our other brackets there. So I'm going to grab that curly parentheses, and we want everything that happens on those two lines to be the thing that we do. So you can see I've now got the open curly parentheses and the closed curly parentheses, and you can set it up so that it's structured a bit better, just like that. And so now what we're going to use is the procedure we used earlier, which was, or the method we used earlier, which was called try pass. And what try pass does is it tries to create a double, and rather than actually returning the numeric value, it just tells you whether or not it was successful. And so what we're going to do is say try to convert a value into a double, and the value we want to try to convert is going to be our value called get input. Let's use that one right. And then we've got to tell it a little bit about what we're going to do. And so we're going to try to convert get input and our output double. Let's just call it S. So that's going to be our value that we're going to try to convert. So what this is going to do is going to take this input, and it's going to try to convert it as an output into a double, and this try pass is going to return a true or false value. So what this is going to do is say if it can do it, then it's going to be true. Now the problem with that is that our loop here is going to repeat over and over and over again while this is true. and because that's going to give us our true value, we need to do something to this condition, all of this, in order to change it, to flip it. So we don't want it to continue while it's true, we want it to continue while it's false. Now C# has a lovely little exclamation mark that basically means not, and so what that's going to do is it's going to reverse the value of this try pass. So instead of being true, it's going to turn it into a false. And so that's now going to do console get right line until a value is entered that we can actually convert to a double. Now what we want to do is say, okay, well, we've got this double which is called height, and rather than converting to double our read line, our console read line, the new value we want to convert is the string get input. So we can put that in there, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to read this value get input from our console, and we're going to repeat doing that until we get a successful conversion. And once we do get a successful conversion, we're then going to come down here and do our actual conversion. So we're going to take the value that was successful here and actually convert it to a double and call it height. And so now we've got our loop there, which is going to give us a valid value for our height. Alright, the next two lines, you can see here we want to enter the weight. What I want you to do is use this code that I've given you up above and recreate it, but recreate it so that you can actually use the same sort of idea to enter a valid weight. Okay, so stop me here, in fact I'll stop here, and then you can go and do that and come back for the next video.